Not that you talk with your hands, because you're not Canadian. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. If you are new here, welcome to Not Alone Podcast. I am so excited today. We have Patrick here with us today. Thank you so much, Patrick, for being with us today. I have heard Patrick share, well, I guess I'll speak to you. I've heard you share at my kids' school, at a few different churches, a mental health workshop, and your testimony has always been very encouraging and impactful on other people's lives. Mm-hmm. I also took a culture course. What do we call it? A culture course?
Intercultural awareness.
Intercultural awareness course. Yeah. So there was a few of us there, including our friend Jenn. And I just thought we could talk a little bit about that to give people a bit of a laugh. So this intercultural
course awareness
course.
Yeah.
Why don't you explain a tiny little bit about what that is before we get into the funny stuff?
Yeah. So thank you so much. It's intercultural awareness because I always call it when we come here from different areas and we come in Canada, we have some perspective and some beliefs which are totally different with how Canadians do things.
Yeah.
So it's really good since in Canada now we have people coming from all over the world. So it's good also to know what other people think and how people do things. Not that we're going to do what they are doing, but just awareness to know it. It's also very nice either at workplace, either you're a pastor or you are anybody, even a mom at home or a dad at home. You need to know that thing. Otherwise, you may say something which may be interpreted differently.
Yes. Okay. Mm-hmm. So in this, we had some times of laughter. So you were explaining about, Jenn, I think, was explaining how when she was in Uganda, she would see signs for zebra crossings. And this would be like a sign she would have seen like just on the road, right? Like where people are.
Yeah.
Like right in the town.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So in town, like when you're in Uganda, you're going to see some big sign said zebra crossing. So if you're coming from here, Canada, you're going to think the zebras are crossing the road, but it's just people who are going to cross over. It's not a zebra.
Yes, and so Jenn thought there was going to be, or somebody thought, maybe it wasn't Jenn, somebody thought there was going to be zebras crossing.
Yeah. And the other thing I think which is so different, one time when I came here, I was invited to the wedding. One of the strangest things I saw, my friend Mike sent me an invitation and said, you're going to sit on this table, what are you going to eat and all that. And I remember back in Uganda or in any other part of the Africa, which I know, we don't have those kind of invitations. If there is a wedding, people come in. Unfortunately, here they said crashing the wedding, but there is no such a thing of a crashing because everybody is going to be there. You may plan a wedding of like 100 people, you end up with 400, and that's fine, absolutely fine. The same as a home, like when I was talking with Jessa, we kept on texting back and forth what time I'm going to come in, but if it was an African setting, I would just come in and knock the door. If she's not here, there's no offense, I go back. If she's here, I'll just go in.
Yeah.
So that's it.
So
those are just a few different things.
Yes.
Yeah.
I loved how you explained the whole, when you received your first wedding invitation in Canada and you're looking going, there's a menu, there's food options.
Yeah. So strange. Really strange. Someone to invite me and say you're going to sit here. And it was like a 2 month before the wedding. Here I have an invitation. I'm like, what's going on? It's so weird, but
so if this was back home in Uganda, then you wouldn't get an invitation and anybody can go and you don't need a lot of notice.
Like now with the technology, they have WhatsApp. They are just going to put WhatsApp on invitation on WhatsApp group, which maybe there's 400, 500 people, and even the neighbors are going to see crossing and see the wedding, and they're going to come in.
Okay, yes, yeah, everybody's eating together.
Everybody's eating together. Everybody's enjoying together. So.
Oh, that is so good. Would you mind telling us a little bit about how you grew up?
So I was originally born in the Democratic Republic of Congo. It's a it's a country which was colonized by Belgium. So mostly people speak Swahili, French. I think in Congo itself, they have 200 dialects, like 200 languages.
Yeah.
But the main one it is Swahili and French for those ones who had an opportunity to go to school. So personally, I was born in a place called Minembwe, which is in the south of the country. Congo have been when we are growing up, there was peace. My dad was a traditional chief. We had everything which I can imagine any child can wish to have. We are so blessed. My mom was a Christian. My dad was so. But we lived really a very comfortable life. There was no such a thing. I never knew that one time I will sit in Canada. Now I call it a blessing. I never wished to be outside Congo, but unfortunately it happened because of the wars which have been going on from 1994 after genocide of Rwanda until today as I'm speaking. There is a turmoil which have been going on, which is called the civil war. Yeah, the civil war, which have consumed many people in Congo and even surrounding countries.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So how did you end up meeting Jesus?
Amen. So, back, maybe I will just give a little bit of to the way I reached in Uganda. So, because I received Jesus in Uganda.
Okay.
So, back in Congo, from 1994, when the genocide of Rwanda finished, they always hear, like in North America, you see on the TV and somewhere where the news are going to keep on saying about discrimination and all that. But in Congo, unfortunately, most people who live there, they are all black. They're all black. There is no white. There is no Chinese. There is no such a thing. But there is tribes, and these tribes hate one another. So unfortunately, when we are born the way which I am, the way I look, which I'm so proud. I never wish to look like somebody else. But people, after the genocide of Rwanda, our neighbors were convinced that we are not a true Congolese. That maybe we came from Rwanda because of how we look like, or maybe we came from Uganda, or we came from Burundi, or some other part of Africa, not in Congo. So that one they say that we are settlers, people who came and grabbed their land. But unfortunately, my great grandfather was born in Congo in the same land which they are saying that we are not a true Congolese. So the hatred kept on going until and when the genocide of Rwanda finished, people started burning houses in our area. Burning houses, I still remember it was on Wednesday. In the evening of that day, we had a soccer match. By then, I was 14 years old. We had a soccer match in the evening. That's when we started hearing the gunfire going on. We came from school. When we are approaching the house, that's when we saw auntie and the other people coming out from the gate. We ran towards the thing, and my uncle was shot and died there. And unfortunately, we didn't have an opportunity to bury him. So we walked for 4 days until the place called Uvira. So Uvira is still in Congo. It's still in Congo, but the parents thought that maybe when we reach in Uvira, they are going to be peaceful. Then we go back in our area. As I mentioned before, my dad was a traditional chief, acting like a judge. We used to live in a house, five bedroom house, lived a very comfortable life. So when we reached in Uvira, unfortunately things didn't change. I still have a scar here on my back for the stone, which I was stoned, just of the way I look like. After 3 weeks, close to a month, the parents realized that there is no peace. which is coming in the area, because even in a place which we have fled in, we had started being attacked. So we decided to go in Uganda. They decided to go in Uganda. Then we ended up in a refugee camp called Chaka 2. Yeah, friends, it's unfortunate that the life can change your life in just one day. You were a citizen, the next day you started calling a refugee. There's no refugee who wishes to be a refugee. Most people, it's just unfortunate act. So coming back to the question about how did I receive Jesus, when I was doing my senior six, that's when we went in a conference and I received Jesus. They talked about forgiveness. Normally, when things happen, it keeps on, even in our normal life here in Canada. Something may happen and it keeps on resentment. You keep on feeling very heavy in the heart. That day, the preacher, who is Pastor Kayanja, talked about forgiveness. And I felt to forgive those ones who killed my uncle, those ones who have made us free and go outside our country. Then from that day, I started following the Jesus who can be able to forgive us. Since he forgave me, I have also to forgive those ones who have wronged me. So if you are also even there, this is just one thing which you have to consider. It's so good for you. It's so good for me. It has a benefit for me. It has a benefit for you to forgive those ones who have wronged you. It has a benefit for you for more than that person who is asking forgiveness.
Wow. Are you able to talk about any of the difficulties, or maybe what was some of the most difficult things that you encountered in the refugee camp?
It's absolutely. So when in Uganda was colonized by UK, which means people in Uganda, they speak Uganda, which is another language. They speak English. So we had the language barrier. We couldn't speak with anybody in the country. Of course, there was a peace, but there was the language barrier. The second thing was food. I still remember, that's why I always really thank those ones who support different charities. We are sitting outside, and these ladies came in and left maybe like a $20 equivalent to money here. And that money which they gave us, it made so significant into my life until today that even the charity I do, it's part of that, knowing the impact which happened. I remember that time when we were in a camp, we had to eat at 3 p.m. Not because we were on diet, not because we wanted to lose weight, because anyway, in Africa, when you are big, it seems like you have a lot of money. But because the mom had budgeted that if we eat twice, then the food is going to get over. So she decided to be feeding us once. They used to give us 5 kilogram of beans, 5 kilogram of maize, unless if it was in Jesus' time where fish was multiplied, there is no way that thing can spend the whole month. The second thing, there was education problem. Here in Canada, like the kids can go to school, unless if you choose to take them in private, but the government have provided a way for people to take the kids without paying school fees. But in Uganda, if you don't have money, the kids are not going to school. So there was education problem. The other thing is medical. When you get sick in a camp, I talked with some friend of mine here, and because either you have a back pain in a camp or you had like a chest pain or something going on, we used to go there and they give us the same pill. So when I explained, one of the friends said it is a happy pill. So it's just a pill which they give you. It does not treat any sickness. It's just something to trick your brain that you are being helped. But there was no medication. So that was one of the many people died because of just a very small diseases like malaria, which can be treated. Small infection killed people. The education, the food. The other thing which was so hard when we arrived in the camp, they gave us machete and a tent. They said, go and build a house. So they showed us just a vacant land, say, okay, that's where you're going to be having a house. Honestly, I had never even reached in a farm back in Congo. So it was one of those things which I was like, okay, what is going on? So good enough people of church helped us build this small shack, which we lived in.
So how did you get the material to build this small shack? Did they have it sitting there?
No, so we had to go in a forest, get like the poles. We put the poles together like a poles, and then put the tent on top, and we just enter in. There is no such a thing as a privacy, because you are sleeping like 6, 7 people within the same tent.
Okay. We're not going to the bathroom for a whole family. Like, what does this look like?
That's crazy. That's
Yes,
a crazy one.
I would like to know this.
So the bathroom, it's a pit hole.
I love that you're talking about them because it helps all of us here that don't know to learn more. Okay, so I'm thinking back to hearing you speak once at my children's school many years ago. You talked about somebody giving you shoes in the refugee camp. Can you share that story?
So the shoes in a refugee camp, there is a lot of sicknesses, jiggers, and these things which goes in the feet and all that. It was one of the first projects which we did, because when we were in a camp, that's when a young kid called Matthew is the one who gave me the shoes, which really helped me a lot for the feet. So when I came here in Canada, that's when we realized that there are many people in a refugee camp. In Uganda right now, there is 1.5 million refugees.
Wow.
Coming from South Sudan, Congo, Somalia, and all that part of the countries. So when they reach in Uganda, something which government of Uganda which have done is just to secure their security. There is nobody who's in Uganda is secured from 1979 when Idi Amin left. From 1799 until today, Uganda is safe, but they have no means to take care of the refugees. There is no social assistance. So when you come as a refugee, the government guarantee you security, but they don't give you any other thing. So for the ministry which we do, which is called Giving Refugee Hope in Uganda, it's just to give them hope. We don't sponsor people to come to Canada or leave Uganda. We support them to stay there and start doing, creating themselves the skills, the businesses, so that they can support themselves when they're in Uganda. Which I will take this opportunity to thank even from the host and other people who have continued to be an advocate, and even people of the support, and you who are outside there who have been helping different ministries. Someone like you who have sponsored Esther have given Esther another different level of life. When we are there just this June, one of the lady who had lived in the camp for many years, but because of the sewing training program, she's now living in Kampala. So, and providing for her 4 children and living very well. Yeah, really, thank you so much.
So you're helping women get out of prostitution, or if they feel like they have no choice but to sell their bodies so that they can feed their children. This provides them the opportunity to learn a skill. Therefore, they can provide a better lifestyle for their children and food. Yeah, this is absolutely amazing. And I love how you already shared, but all of the struggles of your early part of life have led you to helping all of these people. I'm taking us backwards a little bit. So yes. As a little boy, you've lost everything you've ever known. You're now in a refugee camp. And you do end up meeting Jesus. At what point do you have this passion, because you have this amazing ministry now? So how did that get birthed inside of your heart?
So I think sometimes God allow us to go through something so that we can learn and we can relate into things which is happening in the world. I truly believe that if it was not what we went through and living in a camp, I would not even be a Christian. I would not even be in social service or doing the ministry. So, but once when we arrived, when after seeing like those two ladies whom I mentioned, who helped us buy food during near the Christmas, and we had to enjoy. That's when I said that whatever little we have, whatever little I have, I can be able to be a blessing to others. So that's when I arrived in Canada in 2008, that's when was a birth of a ministry called Giving Refugee Hope in Uganda, which is just more so focused on on empowering people. While in Uganda, empowering, we do have different programs. As I mentioned before, there is no health care. Now we have a medical center which we are hoping to open by the beginning of next year. The construction is ready now. Water well is on, so that thousands of people are going to have an opportunity to go and have a free a free medical care. There is one thing here which, when we look at the TV, all what they do, they get collection of bad stories and they deliver it as in our living room. But dear people who are listening to this or going to listen to this podcast, there are many people who are good people outside there. One person may do bad, but it does not mean people are bad. Not people all bad. So we do have a training center now. Over 100 widows have graduated. What that one means, they are now people who used to do everything, which starting from prostitution, selling very small things. Now they can be able to provide for their kids because of the training center. In the training center, they have a sewing machine. People are learning how to sew, and the others to do hair styling. And there is a lot of big business. There are some ladies who had been in a camp for more than 10 years, but because of the skill of knowing how to sew, now they are living in a city in Kampala, providing for themselves. Another program which we have, it's a children's sponsorship to sponsor children go to school. Now we have over 100 children who are in a sponsorship. What that one means, they get 2 meals at the school and they get an education. For the person who is sponsoring them, they get an opportunity to have a school report, to know the life of the child, and to follow up. And it's $35 a month, which is really, even I know on this podcast there are many people who are sponsoring from different ministries. Please, may God continue to bless you and bless you abundantly for work which you are doing. Uh, it's so hard to understand it and to grasp it, how much your donation, your hard working money, which can do in the life of those children who are in school. There is one child here whom Esther, when we received her, like you could see the ribs like outside her because of no food, living really in a bad condition. Someone like you who have sponsored Esther have given Esther another different level of life. When we are there just this June, one of the lady who had lived in the camp for many years, but because of the sewing training program, she's now living in Kampala. So, and providing for her 4 children and living very well. Yeah, really, thank you so much.
So you're helping women get out of prostitution, or if they feel like they have no choice but to sell their bodies so that they can feed their children. This provides them the opportunity to learn a skill therefore they can provide a better lifestyle for their children and food.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is absolutely amazing. And I love how you already shared, but all of the struggles of your early part of life have led you to helping all of these people.
Thank you. Thank you. it's a it's a combination of everybody. I'm just one voice. We are 9 board members here just in Canada. And those 9 board members, we are all volunteers. So which means every dollar which we receive goes to the recipients, goes to the refugees or to the poor Ugandans. Because in combination, we have some poor Ugandans and refugees. We don't only just help refugees. The ministry does not only help refugees, helps both people as long as they are fitting the need. And another thing, it's not just, we don't support just Christian, we support everybody because we know Jesus didn't come for just believers. He came for sinners like myself or any other person who needs him. And we have seen a lot of improvement which have happened. And God have been so good. Now we extended into USA. The ministry have registered in the USA, and even in the USA, it's the same. We are using the same system. We do have the board members, we have an accountant, and I emphasize more of saying thank you for anybody who's going to listening to this podcast, whom you are supporting any ministry, either it's Giving Refugee Hope in Uganda or any other ministry which you have been supporting. Please continue because those funds does change life.
Yes, absolutely. So incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much for being here today and sharing so much of your life story with us. Your ministry is called Giving Hope to Refugees. We will place some links in the description for the episode here. But how can people get a hold of you? What are the options?
You can email me or call me, Patrick at grhu.org, or the phone number is 587-709-2061. And thank you so much. It has been really a pleasure. May God bless you in what you're doing.
Oh, bless you too. The last guest we had left advice for the next guest.
Oh.
And so the advice from Kayla, youth, that the Lord doesn't require a lot more than just our yes. Just saying yes is sometimes all he is looking for.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
So you have a piece of advice you can leave for our next future guest.
The future guest, the only advice which I can say, continue to do the calling of God. It's an opportunity God which have given you to serve, and we are here for a short while. People are not going to remember you of what you owned, but they're going to remember of you what you did to others. So continue to do what you are doing.
Amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, bless you all for listening. Thank you so much. And thank you again, Patrick.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank